those rate-regulated companies that are granted monopoly status, right?
Yes.
And they are granted monopoly status because in establishing the rates for those companies, the State Corporation Commission, at our request, is trying to balance the public policies of recovering costs and not pricing services so that customers can't afford them.
I think I would use the phrase stranded costs, that they are trying to help them recover stranded costs and receive a return on equity.
And the commissioners or the judges of the State Corporation Commission are not elected by the public, right?
They're appointed by the Assembly.
That's right. And if you are concerned about influence, well, let me ask it this way. Is your concern about influence a concern based on how the people setting the rates that customers will have no choice to pay because they have no other option, what kind of influence is over them?
My biggest concern, Senator McClellan, was when we suspended the jurisdiction of the SEC and then limited the jurisdiction. And we did that repeatedly, multiple times from 2015 through 2018. That was my concern. That's why I brought this bill, that the General Assembly was taking away the constitutional authority of the State Corporation Commission to set these rates.
And does the General Assembly set public policy in a way that directly affects rates that are charged by customers in any other company?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, are there other witnesses?
Mr. Chairman, Ron Jefferson with Appalachian Power Company. Appalachian Power Company operates in 2 states, Virginia, West Virginia, but also my parent company is American Electric Power. American Electric Power operates in 11 states. Of those 11 states, 7 states prohibit corporate contributions. The other 4 states put some sort of limits, or 3 of those states put some sort of limits on corporate contributions, and then we have the way we operate here in the state of Virginia. My point is that in each one of these states, all corporations are created the same. And all my company is asking is that you treat our company the same way. If you want to put limits on a corporation, if you want to ban corporate giving, then that's how we operate in other states, and we operate fine in those states. We just ask that you treat us the same way. Thank you.
So you're asking for if we're going to do limits, there ought to be corporate limits, or there ought to be corporate exclusions, but monopoly shouldn't be singled out.
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Eric Link, representing Virginia American Water, we oppose the legislation.
Thank you.
Tyler Minnick from the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. We oppose this legislation.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. John Garrett Kemper for Virginia Natural Gas. We oppose the legislation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trina Jones-Robleski with Columbia Gas. We are a subsidiary of NiSource. We have an employee-sponsored PAC, about 50 employees out of our 400, and we also operate in 7 states when we give in all of those states.
Well, would you say the PAC was created or established by the corporation?
Yes, we administer it, and we advise our PAC members on everything that's happening down at the General Assembly and in politics in general.
Thank you very much. I don't know if there are any additional questions.
I have one for the patron.
Okay.
If I'm reading this right, you have 3 bills. Senate Bill 488 on contributions, yes, indirect and otherwise. 205 with limits in general. Do 488 or 205 include corporate donations overall?
Yeah, what I would do is, and once we get to that, I'm going to ask for you all to lay 205 on the table, and just 488 is just a standard cap on contributions of $20,000 per cycle. So,
okay.
Just to follow up, Mr. Chair, does 488 include no corporate contributions?
It includes all contributions.
So you're allowed to make corporate contributions?
Up to the cap.
Under a cap in 488?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Senator Peterson, if you've got a few words to wrap it up, that's...
I just want to finish where I began, which is this is not to impose or allege anything at anybody. I was here in 2015 when we suspended the SEC's jurisdiction. I felt that was wrong. I felt the process was wrong, and I felt there was a perception, and I won't say if it's accurate or not, that I felt there was too much influence in this building. And I felt like the easiest way to do it was just to prohibit these contributions. I would say to my colleague, Senator Reeves, it's subsidiaries, not subcontractors. Somebody subcontractors with Dominion, they can make donations all day long. At the end of the day, look, it's an up or down vote. God bless y'all, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, the bill is before you.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Surville.
Thank you. Speaking to the bill, and I appreciate where the gentleman's coming from, and I appreciate how a lot of people feel about what's going on in this Commonwealth over the last 10 or 20 years in terms of policy. I would say that, first of all, I think that a lot of the concern that people have would be alleviated if we had a state corporation commission that operated as a full regulator, and I'm pretty confident that with some of the political changes that have occurred in this state over the last 4 months that you're going to see the state corporation commission better enabled to do their job, number one. Number two, I think the commissioners that have been appointed with a certain point of view, and I suspect that as we move forward, we're actually electing people to that commission who are going to take a more aggressive view of their job and also be much more friendly towards some of the clean energy goals that many of us share. And I'm excited to see what a newly empowered and constituted state corporation commission might do once they're given that authority. With regard to this contribution stuff, I lived before I was elected to the General Assembly. I was the chairman of the Fairfax County Democratic Committee, and I had to operate, both solicit and supervise both a federal PAC and a state fund at the same time, and became acutely aware of the restrictions on federal contributions. And in living under both dual systems and talking to many people who've lived under both, I'm convinced that the Virginia system, while doesn't have as many rules as other systems, it is much more transparent than systems in the rest of the country and the federal system. In Virginia, if somebody would like to participate in the political process by writing a check, they can write a check of whatever size they want. It goes into account. It's disclosed to the public. It's on a website. You can see where the money came from and where it went. In the federal system, where we have all these caps and limits and primary caps and then a general election cap and then different accounts for different purposes, the money goes in. If somebody wants to write a check for a certain amount of money, the money goes to 8 different places before it ends up at its source. If you can even figure out where it came from at the end, you need a crystal ball. And not only that, because of that, in Citizens United, we now have 501c4s and 527s. We have super PACs. We have all kinds of organizations which don't even disclose who's contributing to them. So when things come out, you don't even know where the speech is coming from or who's funding it. And from my perspective, the more we put rules like this in place, the harder it becomes for the public to figure out what's going on and who's funding it. And that's my concern about going down this road. So that's among many reasons why I can't support the bill, although I feel like it's motivated by genuine and sincere and serious concerns.
Okay, the bill's before the committee. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Motion and a second to report the bill. Are there other motions? Okay, the roll is open.
Five ayes, 10 nays.
Okay, the bill does not pass. Senator Peterson, you want 205 to